So, you ready for the big reveal? Bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. Cartridge. Can you guess the cartridge? Welcome to this week's episode of The Mystery Cartridge. The way this game works is, out of all these cartridges, all manufactured and released by the same brand, you have to pick the winner. I will give you hints, and the winner in the least number of hints gets a big prize. Unfortunately, it's not a new rifle. It's not even a new box of ammunition. It's just bragging rights amongst you and your friends. Here is your first hint. All of these cartridges were released by Remington. Well, those are plenty of cartridges all cranked out by Remington, but which one are we going to talk about this week? Well, here come your hints. The first one, of course, was it is a Remington cartridge. The next one, it is only one of two Remington cartridges that were ever built on this particular case, diameter, and length. Now, you should know that the Remington cartridges here stretch from about 1.4 inches up to 2.8 inches, so there's a lot of variety there, guys. Next hint. This was built from a famous parent case. Aha! But which parent case was it? The 222 Remington, the 757 Mauser, the 308 Winchester, the 30-06, the 375 H&H, the 404 Jeffrey. Remington used all of those basic cases in the designs of their cartridges. All right, number 4. The peak muzzle velocity of our cartridge of the week is 3,400, maybe 3,500 feet per second. So you're thinking, well, easily a 22-250 Remington, right? Yeah, but it could also be the 280 Remington if you're shooting a 100-grain Sierra hand load, and it could be the 300 Remington Ultra Magnum. Anybody guess it yet? Well, let's go on to our next hint. This is not Remington's biggest seller. Well, there kind of goes the 7 Rem Mag out the window, eh? But there's still a lot to choose from. How about that 6.5 Remington Magnum? What about the 350 Remington Magnum? All right, next hint. This is the only Remington cartridge in this particular caliber. But Remington cartridges go from 17 calibers all the way up to 31 calibers. 17 to 41, I mean, you got 22s and 24s and 25s and 26s and 27s and 28s and 30s and 32s and 33s and 35s and 37s and 41s. So good luck with that one. Now, let's see. This mystery cartridge pushes bullets weighing from 150 grains to 220 grains. Boy, now that just swept a bunch of these smaller ones right off the table. This is narrowing the search quite a bit. Anybody have it yet? Let us know if you guessed it after that hint. Next hint. It churns out as much as 4,252 foot-pounds of energy. Whoa, now wait a minute. That could be the 300 Ultra Mag, the 338 Ultra Mag, the 375 Ultra Mag, the 416 Remington Magnum. Still a lot of options out. Next hint. Recoil. If you shoot this in an 8-pound rifle, you're going to feel somewhere between 40 foot-pounds of energy, almost up to 50 foot-pounds of energy on your shoulder. Yeah, we're talking about one of the big boys here. This Remington cartridge wears a belt. Oh, now we're really narrowing it down. Belted magnums. Oh, wait a minute. We've already gotten rid of the 7 Rem Mag. Oh, what about the 6.5 Rem Mag? No, it's not going to have the horsepower. Not going to reach those foot-pounds. 350, that's getting up there, 35 caliber, but it's kind of short, this little guy. What else could there be? Well, you're probably up in those Ultra Mags again. No, wait a minute, belted case can't be an Ultra Mag. It's got to be something based on the 375 H&H case. Now we're narrowing it down. I'll bet you we've got a winner by now. All right. Here's a quick rundown of the Remington named cartridges. Not all of them are on the table, but most of them are. 17 Fireball, 17 Remington, 221 Fireball, 222 Remington, 223 Remington, 222 Remington Magnum. That's the one I don't have on here. 22-250, that's a popular one. That was a big hit. 6mm Remington, 260 Remington, 6.5 Remington Magnum, Then what's this funny little guy right down here? Oh, that's the only entry in the 27 caliber category. It's the 6.8 SPC. Then we step up to the 7mm 08 Remington, the 280 Remington, the 7mm short action Ultra Magnum, my goodness, the 7mm Remington Magnum, the 7mm Remington Ultra Magnum, my gosh, did they go crazy with 7mm over there. Then you got the 300 short action Ultra Magnum, the 300 full length Ultra Magnum. My God, what's this one? That might just be I don't even know what that one is. Oh, this little guy's the 35 Remington. Boy, there are a lot of folks who like that. And then there's the 350 Remington belted Magnum. That's a candidate. And then we're up into our rums again. That looks like a 375 Remington Ultra Magnum. We're missing the 338 Remington Ultra Magnum. My gosh. And the 416 Remington Magnum. They really cranked out a lot of cartridges. What's our winner? Well, here's your final clue. If you haven't figured it out by now, it's probably one that you have never shot. So, you ready for the big reveal? Bum, ba-da-bum, 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 ba-da-bum. Wham! 8mm Remington Magnum. I know most of us have never heard of it, let alone shot it, but it's one of Remington's belted Magnum cases on the 375 H&H, and the only other one they did that's a full-length Magnum, 3.6 inches maximum overall length, is the 416 Remington Magnum, and that one is a lot more popular than the 8. Now, I am going to do an extended video on rsotv.com on the ballistics of the 8mm Remington and how it fits in this world. This is a 32 caliber, the only one that Remington ever made to my knowledge. Now, some of you may know of another one. Could have been an older one out there that I'm missing. But as far as I know, 8mm is a .323-inch diameter bullet, and the only one that Remington ever made, and for some reason they stuck it on that full-length Magnum 375 H&H case. They came out with it in 1977, and it's about as popular today as it was then. Not very. But the guys who have it just love it, because it does crank out that 4,000 plus foot-pounds of energy. So it's a great elk and moose cartridge. It's pretty effective over in Africa for almost all the plains game. Unfortunately, because it's an 8mm, a .323, you can't use it on buffalo. And that kind of leaves it hanging out there. It's like, it's not really for deer-sized animals. It's a little bit much, even for elk, perhaps. But it's not enough for Cape buffalo. So if you're going to go over and shoot those, you're going to take a 375 H&H. So that's just why it's probably not all that powerful. The interesting thing is when you compare it to some other cartridges that are close, even some smaller in caliber, like the 300 Magnums, a lot of those will beat it in trajectory and wind deflection and even downrange energy. Even a 300 Win Mag can do it with the right bullets, and that's the stuff we're going to cover in depth on RSO TV. The other thing was the 338s that compete against it. There's just so many good 338 Magnums out there that I don't really understand why Remington came out with this, other than there was nobody else pushing an 8mm at the time. I don't know. Maybe they were a little bit early to the millimeter party, because these days, if you say millimeter, everybody's interested. You know, a 6mm, a 6.5mm, 7mm. People are jumping all over the millimeter designations, which is, I don't know, just fashion, because it's really silly. They're the same as if you would give them in the imperial measurements by fractions of an inch. .323 doesn't sound quite as sexy, I guess, as 8mm, or at least maybe that's what Remington thought at the time, but I think they were a little early in 1977. Might fly today. So, here are some pros and cons of that 8mm that I came up with. I didn't find a lot of pros, but I'll try. It's enough bullet for anything. You can drive a 150 grain bullet about 3,400 feet per second. You can drive a 200 grain bullet around 3,000 feet per second, and a 220 grain bullet, I've seen some loads in the Sierra manual that claim that one can reach 3,000 feet per second. You can imagine how much energy that thing's cranking out, over 4,000 foot-pounds. So it's definitely handling anything in North America and most of Africa. It's flat shooting, just about like a 300 Win Mag, pretty close. Just comes within an inch out to 400 yards. Same with wind deflection, comes within about an inch. You might find some of these in used rifles pretty inexpensively. Because if someone had one and they're having difficulty finding loads for it, or they don't like the recoil, they may have unloaded it. And because it's so little known, you might be able to pick up a used rifle pretty inexpensively. But be ready for a little bit of recoil because you're going to get 40 to 49 foot-pounds of energy on the shoulder. But if you're a hand loader, I think you're golden. And if you have to and you can't find ammo, because I think Remington's the only brand that still loads it, you can go with a 375 case and reform it. If you know much about hand loading, it shouldn't be that difficult to form it into this 8mm Remington Magnum. Now, the cons. Oh boy, I've got a long list here. It's redundant. It really doesn't do anything that a lot of other cartridges don't already do. And it's a full-length Magnum cartridge, so not all rifles are going to fit it. The magazines are too short. Heavy recoil, small bullet selection. You can go from a 150 up to about a 220, and that's it. There are very few factory loads, and you generally need a pretty long barrel to really maximize the potential. 26-inch. You can get by with a 24, but you can't go any shorter than that. You're not going to burn all that powder effectively. So that makes for a pretty long rifle. I mean, you add in the Magnum length action, that adds about 1/3 of an inch to the rifle, so it's getting pretty long, it's getting pretty heavy, and a little bit unwieldy. You might not want to drag that up in the mountains, even for elk. Takes a lot of powder. If you're hand loading, you're going to burn it up in a hurry. The performance is nearly matched by some short action cartridges like the 325 WSM. And that's another reason it's probably never going to fly, because these days people like short light rifles a little more, quick actions. And even in the short action rifles, the 325 WSM isn't doing all that well. So it's probably not all that much of a plus. And it's outperformed by a lot of the 300 Magnums and the 338 Magnums. So finally, the last con is it just really isn't legal for Cape Buffalo in Africa, but it's getting so close to the same recoil and weight of rifle that what's the point? So that's why the 8mm Remington Magnum, I think, is on its way out. It will soon be an obsolete cartridge. But if you like something different, you might want to grab one, find it on the used market pretty cheap, and you're going to be rolling with the Mystery Cartridge of the Week. Hey, I'm Ron Spomer. Thanks for watching. Give us a like on the subscribe thing here, and that would sure help us out. And we want to thank our patrons for suggesting this topic. We always appreciate our patrons. Thanks, guys, for giving us the support. We love it. Hey, we've also started a podcast. We had it going a while ago, and we kind of gave it up because we got too busy with these videos, but I think we're up to speed now, so we're starting to do our podcasts again. We're going to be reading old adventure stories that I've written over the years, going way back into the 1980s and even the 1970s, and we're going to bring on some exciting guests because I've met a couple of interesting folks along the way in all my travels, and we may be answering some questions from you folks because I get a lot of them and might as well share the answers with everybody. So check us out on your favorite podcaster, and we're also going to have that on YouTube on a new channel. So we'll give you the information below. Just check it out. We'd love to see you there. And until next week, and another mystery cartridge, if I can get around to it, this is Ron Spomer signing off. Hunt honest, and guess your cartridge is right.